The small spacecraft cut through the night sky, leaving a trail of blue light. It was not big or fancy like in the movies, just a simple pod, barely large enough for two. Inside, Taja held her son close as the ship shook. Her purple skin glistened with sweat as she guided the ship toward the lights of the small Korean town below. "Almost there, Da. Hold on," she whispered. Her four-fingered hand stroked her son's face. The boy's breathing was shallow, his normally bright eyes now dull. Day had been sick for one full cycle of their home planet's moon. The doctors on Nellora had done all they could, but their medicine couldn't help him. That's when Taja found the human research papers. Dr. Jun Kim's work on fixing broken genes had given her hope when there was none. The ship landed roughly in an empty field next to Hesung Memorial Hospital. Steam hissed as the door opened. Taja stepped out, carrying Dai wrapped in a thermal blanket. The air felt heavy and strange in her lungs, but the scanner on her wrist showed it was safe enough. In the emergency room, Dr. Jun Kim was finishing his late shift. He rubbed his tired eyes and thought about the dinner waiting at home. That's when the hospital lights flickered, and the ground shook slightly. "Earthquake?" asked Nurse Min, looking up from her desk. Before Jun could answer, the emergency doors slid open. A tall figure stood there, at least 7 feet tall, with skin the color of lavender and large almond-shaped eyes. In her arms was a smaller being, clearly a child, wrapped in a shimmering material. Nurse Min screamed. An older patient fainted. Dr. Jun Kim stood frozen, his coffee cup slipping from his hand and shattering on the floor. The alien stepped forward, and everyone else stepped back. Only Jun stayed in place, his scientific mind racing to process what he was seeing. "Help," the alien said in perfect, if oddly accented, Korean. "My son is dying." Security guards rushed in, stopping in their tracks when they saw the visitor. One reached for his radio with shaking hands. "Please," the alien mother said, looking directly at Jun. She must have recognized his doctor's coat. "I'll do literally anything if you help my son." Jun swallowed hard and stepped forward. "I'm Dr. Kim," he said slowly. "What's wrong with your son?" The alien's eyes showed clear relief that someone was talking to her. "His genes are breaking down. Your research. I found your research on gene repair. Our doctors can't fix him, but you might." By now, phones were out, recording everything. Whispers filled the room. The security guard was speaking rapidly into his radio, but Jun didn't look away from the sick child. "How do you know about my research?" he asked. "We've been watching your broadcasts, your internet. I'm not supposed to be here. Contact is forbidden. But he's my son." Her voice broke on the last word, a sound so full of pain that everyone in the room felt it. Jun nodded slowly. In that moment, he wasn't seeing an alien. He was seeing a mother who had crossed the stars for her child. "Let me see him," he said. As he approached, the doors burst open again. Police officers poured in, guns drawn. Behind them came men in suits, already on phones. "Step away from the alien, Dr. Kim," one of the officers shouted. Taja clutched Dad tighter, her large eyes darting around the room in panic. "Wait." Jun raised his hands. "She needs medical help for her child. We can't just." "National security," one of the suited men cut in. "This facility is now under government control." Taja looked at Jun with desperate eyes. "Please," she said again. "I searched your whole planet for someone who could help. Your work is our only hope." Jun looked at the sick child, then at the guns, then back at the mother's eyes. He made his choice. "This is my patient now," he said firmly, "and I need everyone to calm down while I examine him." 3 hours later, Hesung Memorial Hospital was no longer just a hospital. Soldiers stood at every door. Big white trucks with satellite dishes filled the parking lot. Yellow tape kept curious people far away. Inside, the 3rd floor had been cleared of all patients. Only Taja, her son Da, Dr. Jun Kim, and a growing team of officials remained. "We need to follow first contact protocols," said a stern man in a black suit. His name was Director Kang from the National Intelligence Service. What protocols? Jim asked, not looking up from Da. The alien child was hooked up to basic monitors that beeped steadily. We've never had first contact before. We're making them up as we go, Director Kang admitted. But step one is containment. A woman in a navy blue blazer stepped forward. I'm Suk Park from the Foreign Ministry. I'll be handling communication. She was calm and spoke clearly. Dr. Kim, you're permitted to stay as the primary medical contact. The President feels this is a health crisis first, security situation second. June nodded, relieved. At least someone was being sensible. Suk turned to Teja, who sat beside her son's bed, her large purple hands gently stroking his arm. Can you tell us why you chose Earth? Why Dr. Kim specifically? Teja's wide eyes blinked slowly. From a pocket in her silver suit, she pulled out a small device. When she tapped it, a screen appeared in the air. Your internet broadcasts travel far, she explained. We've been studying Earth for many years. When Dad got sick, I searched your medical databases. The floating screen showed human research papers. One had June's name on it. This work on gene repair matches my son's illness. You understand our language? Suk asked. We have translation technology. Teja touched a small disc on her throat. But yes, I've also learned your Korean language directly. I wanted to be sure I could communicate clearly. Director Kang stepped closer. What are you offering in exchange for our help? Suk gave him a sharp look. That's not the first question we shouled. It's okay, Teja interrupted. I came prepared. She reached into another pocket and pulled out a small crystal. This contains technology information, clean energy, medical advances, star maps. June looked up from examining Da. You're breaking your own rules by being here, aren't you? Teja's shoulders dropped. Yes. My people, the Nellarans, have a strict non-interference policy with developing worlds. I will face punishment when I return. She looked at her son, but a mother does what she must. The room fell quiet. Even Director Kang seemed moved. Suk broke the silence. We'll need time to assemble the right team of experts. We don't have much time, Jun said. Based on my initial exam, Da's condition is progressing rapidly. His cellular structure is breaking down in a way I've never seen before, but it has similarities to certain human genetic disorders. Can you help him? Teja asked, her voice cracking. I think so, Jun said carefully. My research might be adaptable to his biology, but I'll need help. Specialists in xenobiology, genetics, and more equipment. You'll get whatever you need, Suk promised. Director Kang cleared his throat. Within reason. This is still a security matter. We need to be careful about what technology we share with them. Teja stood up suddenly, towering over the humans. Everyone tensed. I understand your caution, she said, but please understand mine. My government will discover I'm gone soon. They will come looking. I don't fear your weapons or your prisons. I only fear losing my son. She reached out and took Jun's hand in her four-fingered one. Help him, and I will ensure your world benefits. This I swear. Jun felt the alien skin, cool and smooth like polished stone, but her grip was just like any worried parent he'd ever met. I'll do everything I can, he promised. Director Kang's phone buzzed. He answered, listened, then looked up with wide eyes. The President is on his way, he said. And the American ambassador just landed at the airport. This is getting bigger by the minute. Then we better work fast, Jun said, turning back to his patient. By morning, the hospital had turned into a research center. New machines filled the room where Dad lay sleeping. Teja hadn't left his side once. Dr. Jun Kim studied the screen showing Dad's DNA. Next to him stood Dr. Hannah Lee, the top xenobiologist in the country. She had arrived at midnight, eyes wide with excitement despite the late hour. It's amazing, Hannah said, pointing to the screen. Their DNA is double helix like ours, but with these extra bonds here and here. June nodded. The basic building blocks are similar enough that my treatment might work. But these differences, he pointed to a section of the alien DNA that was breaking apart. This is the problem area. Taija watched them closely. On our world, this disease is rare but always fatal. Our doctors tried gene repair, but it didn't work. How exactly did they try to fix it? June asked. Taija used her device to show 3D models of Nelaran medical procedures. June and Hannah studied them carefully. I see the issue, June said after a while. Your doctors tried to replace the damaged genes. My approach is different. I've been working on a way to teach the body to repair its own genes. Hannah looked excited, like teaching someone to fish instead of giving them a fish. Taija tilted her head, confused by the saying. She means that instead of replacing broken parts, we help the body learn to fix itself, June explained. Understanding showed in Taija's large eyes. This is why your method might work where ours failed. Day stirred on the bed, making a soft sound. Taija was at his side instantly. She spoke to him in her native language, a series of musical clicks and hums. The boy's eyes fluttered open briefly before closing again. He's getting weaker, she said, her voice tight with worry. June turned to Hannah. We need to adapt my treatment for his biology. Can you help? Yes. But we need more data on how his cells respond to the therapy. Hannah hesitated. We need to run tests, but we've never done this on non-human DNA. Taija reached into her pocket and pulled out another crystal. This contains all our medical knowledge about our species. It should help. As Hannah took the crystal, the door opened. Suk Park entered with a team of people in lab coats. These are the best genetic specialists in Korea, Suk announced. The president has given this project top priority. One of the new doctors, an older man with thick glasses, stepped forward. Dr. Kim, I've studied your research for years. It's an honor to work with you. Thank you, Dr. Cho, Jung said, recognizing the famous geneticist. We need all the help we can get. The team worked through the day, analyzing Da's cells and testing tiny amounts of June's modified therapy. Machines hummed. People talked in low, serious voices. Outside, the news had spread worldwide. TV crews camped outside the hospital. On the internet, millions followed the story of the alien mother and her sick child. By evening, Jun had good news. The therapy is showing positive results in the cell samples, he told Taija. Da's cells are starting to repair themselves. Hope showed on Taija's face. How soon can we treat him? We need to be careful, Jun cautioned. We're moving much faster than normal medical protocols allow. But given the emergency, he looked at the boy whose breathing had become more labored. I think we can start tomorrow. Taija bowed her head. Thank you. Just then, Suk rushed into the room, looking worried. We have a problem, she said. Our satellites have detected something entering our solar system. Taija stood up straight, suddenly tense. They found me sooner than I expected. Who found you? Jun asked. My people. Taija's voice was grim. The Nelaran government. They're coming to take us back. Everyone in the room fell silent. The machines beeped steadily, marking the beats of Da's failing heart. How long do we have? Jun finally asked. 3 days at most, Suk answered. Jun looked at the team, then at Da, then at Taija. Then we have to work faster. We're not giving up. News of the aliens spread like wildfire. Despite government efforts to keep it quiet, someone had leaked a video of Taija's arrival. Now, the whole world knew. Outside the hospital, crowds gathered. Some held signs saying, "Welcome, space friends." Others held signs with warnings about alien invasion. Police worked hard to keep everyone calm. Inside, Dr. Jun Kim hadn't slept in 36 hours. He rubbed his tired eyes as he prepared the treatment for Da. You should rest, Hannah told him, bringing him a cup of coffee. No time, Jun said. The Nelaran ships will be here soon. The door opened, and Director Kang entered with 2 military officers. Their faces were serious. "Dr. Kim, we need to talk," Kang said, privately. June followed them to a small office. Inside, the officers spread photographs on the desk. "These are satellite images of the Nelleran ships," Kang explained. 3 large vessels, heavily armed. "They're not coming for a friendly visit. They're coming for Taija and Da," June said. "She broke their laws to come here." One of the officers, General Park, leaned forward. "This is now a military matter. We need to study the aliens' technology before her people arrive. It could give us an advantage." June shook his head. "Taija came to us for help, not to start a war." "The alien gave us technology in exchange for medical help," Kang said. "We need time to understand it. We want to move her to a secure military facility." "Day is too sick to move," June protested. "And I gave my word we would help him." General Park's face hardened. "This is bigger than one alien child, Doctor. This is about Earth's security." Before June could answer, Suk Park burst into the room. "The president is on the phone," she said, holding out her cell. "He wants to speak with all of you." The room fell silent as they listened to the president. After a few minutes, Kang's face showed clear frustration. "Yes, Mr. President, I understand," he said before hanging up. He looked at June. "You have 48 hours to complete the treatment. Then we move them, sick or not." After they left, June returned to the main room. He found Taija teaching Hana some words in her language. "Your throat makes different sounds than ours," Hana said, trying to copy the musical clicks. "It's fascinating." Taija noticed June's worried face. "What's wrong?" she asked. June hesitated, then decided to be honest. "Some people in our government want to study your technology before your people arrive. They see this as a chance to prepare for possible conflict." Taija's tall frame seemed to shrink slightly. "I feared this might happen. On every world, some see strangers as a threat first." "Why did your people ban contact with other worlds?" Hana asked. "Long ago, we visited another developing world," Taija explained. "We thought we were helping them by sharing our knowledge. Instead, it caused wars as they fought over our technology. Millions died." Her large eyes showed deep sadness. "After that, we decided it was better to let worlds develop at their own pace." "And you broke that rule," June said. "For my son, yes," Taija replied. She reached out and touched a small screen on her wrist. A hologram appeared, showing an alien city with tall crystal buildings. "This is our home on Nellora. Dae's father died when Dae was very young. It's just the 2 of us." The image changed to show Da playing in what looked like a park, happy and healthy. "I want him to see our home again," Taija said, her voice breaking. June made up his mind. "We have 48 hours before they move you. Let's make them count." As he spoke, alarms suddenly blared from Dae's monitors. The boy's body was shaking with seizures. "He's crashing," Hana shouted. June rushed to the bed. "We need to start the treatment now," he called out. "It's our only chance." Taija watched, her hands pressed against the window as the medical team fought to save her son's life. The room was tense as June and his team worked to save Da. Machines beeped wildly. Doctors called out numbers and medical terms. Taija stood frozen, watching her son fight for his life. "Blood pressure dropping," called a nurse. "Start the gene therapy now," June ordered. He had planned to run more tests, but there was no time left. Hana prepared the special medicine they had created. It contained tiny machines, smaller than cells, programmed to fix Da's broken genes. She handed the clear liquid to June. "This is earlier than we planned," she whispered. "Are you sure?" "It's our only chance," June said, connecting the bag to Da's IV line. The medicine began to flow into Da's purple veins. For several minutes, nothing changed. The boy's body continued to shake. Then, slowly, the seizures stopped. His breathing became more regular. It's working, Hannah said, checking the monitors. Teja made a sound, half sob, half laugh. Thank you, she said, her voice thick with emotion. June checked Daya's vital signs. They were improving, but he wasn't out of danger yet. The treatment needs time, he explained. The nano-machines are teaching his cells to repair themselves, but it will take at least 24 hours to see if it works fully. Suk Park, who had been watching from the doorway, stepped in. That's good news, but we have another problem. She looked at Taija. Your ship has been moved to a military base. They want to study it. That's fine, Taija said, as long as Day is getting better. There's more, Suk said, lowering her voice. Director Kang has new orders. Once Day is stable, you're both to be taken to a secure facility for extended study. June felt cold anger rising in him. They promised us 48 hours. Plans changed when the public found out. Suk explained. Some leaders see this as a chance to get alien technology by any means necessary. They want to keep us prisoners. Taija asked, her tall body suddenly tense. Not officially, Suk said. They're calling it protective custody. Hannah looked at June. What do we do? Before June could answer, the door burst open. Director Kang entered with 4 armed soldiers. The boy is stabilizing, Kang said. That means we can move them now. The treatment isn't complete, June protested. Moving him could kill him. Kang's face showed no emotion. That's a risk we have to take. National security comes first. Taija stepped between the soldiers and her son's bed. I came in peace, she said. I offered fair trade. Why are you doing this? Because your people are coming with warships, Kang replied. We need every advantage we can get. One of the soldiers moved toward Dae's bed. Taija's eyes flashed with anger. For a moment, June thought she might attack them. Instead, she reached into her pocket and pulled out another crystal, larger than the others. This contains all the data from my ship, she said. Take it. Study it. Just let my son complete his treatment here. Kang took the crystal, looking surprised at the offer. Please, Taija added. I've given you what you want. Kang hesitated, then shook his head. Orders are orders. We move them now. As the soldiers approached Dae's bed again, Nurse Min suddenly burst in. Dr. Kim, there's an emergency in the lab. The backup generator is failing. In the moment of confusion, Suk moved close to June and whispered, There's no emergency. Take them out through the service elevator. A car is waiting. Go to this address. She slipped a piece of paper into his hand. June understood immediately. Hannah, help me move Dae's bed. We need to stabilize the equipment. Taija caught on quickly. She gathered Dae in her arms, while June and Hannah disconnected the most important monitors. As Kang was distracted by Nurse Min's fake emergency, they slipped out the side door and hurried down the hall toward the service elevator. This is breaking the law, Hannah whispered, looking scared. Sometimes the law is wrong, June replied, pushing the elevator button. Behind them, they heard Kang shouting. The small van sped through back roads in the early morning darkness. June looked nervously out the window for signs of police or military vehicles. Beside him, Nurse Junyu drove carefully, keeping just under the speed limit. No one is following us, Jun said, checking the mirrors again. In the back of the van, Hannah monitored Dae's vital signs on portable equipment. The alien boy lay on a makeshift bed, with Taija sitting beside him, holding his hand. Where are we going? Taija asked. A research facility in the mountains, June explained. It belongs to my old professor. Suk arranged it. After 20 minutes, they turned onto a narrow road that wound up into the hills. Trees closed in around them, hiding them from view. Finally, they reached a small, modern building tucked away in the forest. An elderly man waited at the door. Professor Kwon had gray hair and kind eyes behind thick glasses. He had been June's teacher and mentor many years ago. Quickly, inside, he said, helping them carry Da and the equipment. The building looked simple from outside, but inside it was a fully equipped lab. Professor Kwan had spent his life studying genetics before retiring to this quiet place. "No one will look for you here," he told Taja as they set up Da's bed. "This place doesn't officially exist." Once they had Da stable and the treatment continuing, Jun checked his phone. It was filled with missed calls and messages. "They've issued warrants for our arrest," he told the others. "We're all fugitives now." Jun looked scared. "I have family. Children." Jun touched his shoulder. "You can leave. Take the van. Say we forced you to drive us." Jun thought for a moment, then shook his head. "No, I became a nurse to help people. All people." He looked at Da, even people from other worlds. As the day went on, they watched Da closely. The machine showed his cells slowly healing. His breathing grew stronger. At one point, he opened his eyes and said something to his mother in their musical language. He asked where we are. Taija translated. I told him we're with friends. While Da rested, Taija told them more about her world. The Nellarans were an old species who had explored space for thousands of years. They had seen many young civilizations destroy themselves after getting advanced technology too quickly. "That's why we decided to watch but not interfere," she explained. "It was meant to protect worlds like yours." "But you broke that rule," Hannah said. "Yes." Taija's large eyes looked sad. "Many of my people would say what I did was wrong. That the needs of one child don't outweigh the risk to an entire world." "What will happen when they find you?" Professor Kwan asked. "I will be punished," Taija said simply. "But if Da lives, it will be worth it." Jun checked Da's latest blood work. "The treatment is working better than I expected. His cells are repairing themselves at an amazing rate." "How soon will he recover fully?" Taija asked. "At this rate, another day, maybe two," Jun said. "But the Nellaran ships will arrive before then." Jun, who had been watching the news on a tablet, looked up. "They're already here. 3 large ships in orbit around Earth. They're asking all governments to help find Taija and Da." Taija stood up, her tall frame casting a long shadow in the lab. "I need to contact them. Tell them not to hurt anyone." "If you contact them, they'll find us," Hannah warned. "I know," Taija said, "but I can't let your world suffer because of me." She looked at Da, sleeping peacefully now. "Once he's stable enough to travel, I'll turn myself in." Jun shook his head. "There has to be another way." Professor Kwan, who had been quiet for a while, suddenly spoke up. "Perhaps there is. Your treatment, Jun, it's revolutionary. It could help countless beings across the galaxy." "What are you suggesting?" Jun asked. "That we offer to share it," the old professor said. "Make a fair trade. Medical knowledge for medical knowledge." Before anyone could respond, alarms began to sound from Da's monitors. The boy was having another seizure. "He's rejecting the treatment," Jun shouted, rushing to Da's side. The monitors showed the boy's body fighting against the nanomachines. Hannah checked the readings. His immune system woke up. "It's attacking our therapy." Taija made a sound of despair. "Can you stop it?" "I think so," Jun said. He quickly prepared another injection. "This will suppress his immune response." As they worked to stabilize Da, Jun looked up from his tablet. "The Nellaran ships are broadcasting a message worldwide. It's on every channel." They turned to watch. On the screen appeared an alien similar to Taija, but with darker purple skin and formal-looking silver clothing. The alien spoke perfect English. "People of Earth, I am Commander Ren of the Nellaran Security Fleet. One of our citizens has illegally entered your world with stolen technology. This action violates our most sacred laws of non-interference. We request your cooperation in locating Taija and her son Da. We guarantee no harm will come to your world if they are returned to us promptly." Taija's face showed fear, but not surprise. "That's my cousin," she whispered. "He always followed rules exactly." Jun continued to read from news reports. Governments are arguing about how to respond. Some want to hand you over immediately. Others think this is a chance for Earth to join a wider galactic community. Professor Quan looked thoughtful. The world is at a crossroads. This first contact could lead to friendship or fear. Jun finished treating Da. The boy's condition stabilized again. The immune suppression is working, he said, but it's only temporary. We need to modify the treatment. As they worked, Suk Park suddenly appeared at the lab door, looking exhausted. I had to sneak out of Seoul, she explained. They're watching everyone connected to you. How did you find us? Hannah asked, surprised. Professor Quan was the logical choice. Suk said. I remembered Jun mentioning his hidden lab once. She brought news from the capital. World leaders were meeting in emergency sessions. Military forces were on high alert. People were both scared and excited by the alien ships visible in the night sky. The president wants to negotiate, Suk explained. But he needs something to offer the Nellarans. We have something, Jun said. He showed Suk the latest results from Da's treatment. We're curing a disease their advanced medicine couldn't fix. That has value. Taija stood up. I need to contact Commander Ren. Tell him Da is being treated and will recover soon. If you do that, they'll track the signal, Jun warned. I know, Taija said, but I can't let your world risk war because of me. She looked at each human in the room. You've done more than I had any right to ask. Now I must face the consequences of my actions. Suk's phone rang. She answered, listened, then looked alarmed. They've tracked us somehow. Military forces are on the way. Professor Quan pointed to a back door. There's a path through the forest. You can. No more running, Taija interrupted. She touched a control on her wrist device. A light began to pulse. I've activated my beacon. They'll find us now. But Da's treatment isn't complete, Joan protested. It's working enough, Taija said. And I have all your research data. Our scientists can continue the treatment on our ships. Outside, they heard the sound of helicopters approaching. I have an idea, Suk said suddenly. She made a call, speaking rapidly in Korean. When she finished, she looked at Taija. The president will speak directly with Commander Ren. I told him about the medical breakthrough. Taija nodded. Good. Tell him I offer myself as a prisoner to my people if they will allow Dad to complete his treatment here. You would sacrifice your freedom? Hannah asked. For my son. Without hesitation, Taija replied. The helicopters grew louder. Soon they would be surrounded. Jun checked Da one last time. The boy's eyes were open now, watching everything. He said something in his language. What did he say? Jun asked. Taija's eyes filled with tears. He said thank you for saving his life. The helicopters landed outside Professor Quan's lab. Soon, the small building was surrounded by soldiers. Jun looked out the window and saw Director Kang stepping out of one helicopter. They're here, he said. Taija stood tall, ready to face whatever came next. Dae sat up in his bed, looking much better than before. The door opened. Director Kang entered with armed soldiers behind him. But to everyone's surprise, Suk Park walked in next, followed by a man in an expensive suit. Mr. President, Professor Quan gasped, quickly bowing. The president of South Korea nodded at the professor, then looked at Taija. So you are the mother who crossed the stars for her son. I am, Taija replied simply. Your people have asked us to return you, the president said. They say you broke their laws. I did, Taija admitted, but I would do it again. The president turned to Jun. Dr. Kim, is the boy recovering? Yes, sir, Jun answered. The treatment is working. His body is repairing the damaged genes. He needs another day to fully recover. The president nodded thoughtfully. Director Kang wanted to take you by force. He saw only the danger. He looked at Taija again. But I saw something else. I saw a mother's love. The same love exists on every world, it seems. Suk stepped forward. Sir, we've prepared the video link as you requested. The president straightened his tie. Good. It's time humanity showed what we stand for. A large screen on the wall came to life. Commander Ren's face appeared, looking stern. President Kim, the alien commander said, "Have you located the fugitives?" "Yes," the president replied. "They are here with me." Relief showed on Ren's face. "Excellent. We will send a shuttle to collect them immediately." "Not yet," the president said firmly. "The boy is still receiving treatment." Ren's expression hardened. "The treatment is irrelevant. They must face justice for breaking our non-interference laws." "The treatment is not irrelevant to us," the president countered. "On Earth, we do not turn away a mother or child seeking medical help, regardless of where they come from." Ren looked surprised. "You would risk conflict with an advanced civilization for two individuals who broke our most sacred laws." "We are not looking for conflict," the president said. "We are offering cooperation. Dr. Kim has developed a treatment your own medicine couldn't provide. We are willing to share this knowledge." The camera panned to show Dae sitting up, clearly improving. "As you can see," June added, "the treatment is working. Your people could save many lives with this approach." Ren was silent for a moment. "Medical exchange was not our mission." "Perhaps it should be," the president suggested. "First contact between our worlds doesn't have to be about fear or punishment. It can be about healing." While they talked, something remarkable was happening around the world. News channels showed crowds gathering in cities across the planet. People held candles and signs supporting Taija and Dae. The story of a mother crossing the stars to save her son had touched hearts everywhere. Suk showed her tablet to the president. "Sir, millions are watching this broadcast. Public support is overwhelming." The president turned back to the screen. "Commander Ren, your ships are intimidating, but they're not why we're helping Taija and Dae. We're helping them because it's right. Because humanity may be young compared to your species, but we understand compassion." June stepped forward. "Commander, I'm sending you our research data now. Study it. See what we've accomplished together." Ren looked down at something off-screen, his eyes widening as he reviewed the medical data. "Our ships will remain in orbit," Ren finally said. "The boy may complete his treatment, but Taija must still answer for her actions." Taija nodded. "I accept that, cousin." As the call ended, Dae reached for his mother's hand. Around them, the humans exchanged hopeful glances. "What happens now?" Hannah asked. The president smiled. "Now we show the universe the best of humanity." 1 year later, Dr. Jung Kim stood in Seoul's new interstellar medical center. The building gleamed with a mix of Earth and Nelloran technology. Through the large windows, he could see people from both worlds walking together in the garden. "Nervous about your speech?" Hannah asked, joining him by the window. "A little," June admitted. "I never thought I'd be addressing doctors from two different planets." So much had changed in a year. After Dae's successful treatment, the world had watched as Nelloran shuttles landed peacefully. Instead of punishment and fear, the meeting had become the beginning of cooperation. June's gene therapy had amazed the Nelloran medical experts. They discovered that his approach could treat many diseases on their world too. In return, they shared their knowledge of advanced medicine. "Dr. Kim," a familiar voice called. June turned to see Taija walking toward him. She wore formal Nelloran robes with Earth symbols woven into the design. Beside her walked Dae, healthy and strong, his purple skin glowing with vitality. "It's good to see you," June said, smiling broadly. "We wouldn't miss your big day," Taija replied. She now spoke perfect Korean, just as June had learned basic Nelloran. The story had ended better than anyone could have hoped. Instead of punishing Taija, the Nelloran government had been forced to reconsider their non-interference policy when faced with the success of the cooperation. They had appointed Taija as the first Nelloran ambassador to Earth. Dae looked up at June. I've been studying human medicine, he said in careful Korean. I want to be a doctor like you someday. He's already showing talent, Taeja said proudly. The first Nelloran human doctor, perhaps. Suk Park joined them, now serving as Earth's diplomatic representative to the Nellorans. The ceremony is about to begin, she announced. Everyone is waiting. They walked together to the main hall. It was filled with important people from both worlds. Jun saw Professor Kwon, Jun, and even Director Kang, who had eventually come around to supporting the alliance. Commander Ren stood near the stage, talking with the president. The commander had changed too. After seeing how his own nephew was saved by human medicine, he had become a strong supporter of cooperation between the worlds. As Jun took the stage to speak, he saw all the faces looking up at him, human and alien together. He remembered the night Taeja had first arrived, desperate and afraid. 1 year ago, he began. A mother from another world said 7 words that changed everything. I'll do literally anything to help my son. Those words remind us that across the stars, love is universal. Compassion has no borders. The crowd applauded. Jun continued, Today we open this center not just for research, but as a symbol of what different worlds can achieve together. Our differences are small compared to what we share. After the ceremony, Jun found a quiet moment with Taeja and Da. I never properly thanked you, Taeja said softly. For what? Jun asked. Doing my job as a doctor. For doing more than your job, she replied. For seeing us as people, not aliens. For risking everything to help strangers from another world. Dae suddenly hugged Jun, surprising him. Nelloran culture wasn't big on physical contact, but Da had clearly picked up some Earth customs. I came ready to trade anything for my son's life, Taeja said, watching them with shining eyes. Instead, I found something I never expected, a new future for both our worlds. Outside the window, Earth and Nelloran ships flew together in the blue sky. In orbit above, construction had begun on a joint space station where scientists from both worlds would work side by side. What happens next? Jun asked. Taeja smiled. We write the next chapter together. That's what friends do. As the sun set over Seoul, humans and aliens walked side by side, no longer separated by fear or distance, but united by the universal language of compassion. The end.